Is that okay? Can you hear me? Okay, yeah, go ahead. So I wrote my first teaching philosophy, and in it many years ago, and in it I praised many mentors for a simple lesson that was very similar amongst all of them, which was do it yourself, you're your own best teacher. And I have a similar lesson for all of my students as well, and I want them to, well, let me just jump ahead. Ooh, speed it up. That similar lesson for them, I've revised that several times over the course of my short career, and most of those lessons are aimed at getting students to take control of their own learning process. He's talking about exceptions, provisos, and quid pro quos. But this picture of my office is really meant to show you that I'm deeply curious about everything, but it also is meant to show you, well, that I'm easily distracted, but it's meant to show you that, it's meant to show you that I really can't contain myself inside a canned curriculum, right? And so I feel like I'm doing, and my favorite students are very similar to me in that respect. And I do my best, I think, when I'm providing an environment for them to explore their own interests, and for me, that's the laboratory. And the key experience for them is that they learn to gain their own independence in my laboratory. That translates nicely to a classroom where my teaching style asks students to take responsibility for their own knowledge construction as well. It's also a great place for students to start to take ownership of the moniker of scientists. And that's a very important lesson for all of my students in all of my classes. Here's what I teach them all, regardless of the level. You're a scientist, we're all scientists. Life requires us to be scientists, let's start acting like scientists. And I mean that in the sense that human beings are really good at processing pieces of information and using those observations or data to construct hypotheses, say questions about the world that they find themselves in, and they're really good, oh, I lost my font there, sorry. And they're really good at, converting those hypotheses into experiments, let's call them experiences, and they use the results of those experiences to develop theories about the world that they find themselves in, and perhaps they act on those models of the world and perhaps not. But in any case, constructing that learning environment is very challenging and time-consuming, and it doesn't lend itself to easy packaging for sale to stakeholders or whoever. And so I find myself wondering oftentimes what the value of the message that I'm presenting my students might be. I do get nice feedback. Here's a couple of examples of that. I'm showing you these, though I'm not trying to take ownership of these students' successes, these former students' successes. Instead, I know that I have to look inside myself for my own motivations, and I look to my own curiosity and creativity to find those inspirations that I hope to share with students. And the next couple of slides are just aimed at showing you sort of how I'm pursuing that pathway. And an important idea to impart here is that the university supports my creativity in a wonderful way. And it does so because my creativity provides the ancillary benefit of providing excellent learning opportunities for students. So, oh, and this is one more that really shows that other example in Chemistry of the Kitchen, a lower division course, mostly non-majors, that students can find a place to think of themselves, begin to think of themselves as scientists. And again, that's key to my whole shtick, actually. So I'm going to continue to model that behavior for them, and I'm hoping that they can continue to feel comfortable jumping off their own cliffs and assuming that there's someplace interesting for them to land, and manufacturing machetes for hacking through their own jungles. And I also want to be clear that, you know, as I model that, I draw on modelers myself, and many of you are here in this room. There are no caricatures of you coming, though. But I do want to leave you with one role model that's really valuable to me when I'm depressed and exhausted very late at night, and it's not because I feel that my work will ever rise to this guy's level. Can you read that? Who that is? But I do so because he's a trailblazer, and I want to be an individual that follows an unorthodox path of my own devising. No gong, I get to keep going. Of my own devising, and it's true to my own lights. So I think that Gauguin is a great example of an individual that we can all learn from. Myself, certainly, perhaps yourselves, I hope your students too. Thanks a lot.